Hey, what is up everyone? It's the guy here, and welcome to episode 9 of my hardcore TerraFirmaRescue Minecraft Let's Play. In this episode, we're going to be getting into the early machines in this quest. Now, I'm not actually too familiar with this stuff, but I have done Greg Tech before, so I imagine it's somewhat similar. But here we have some Redstone Flux production. So this is just an engine, hobbyist steam engine. We'll be making that, getting some rubber into that as well, and getting into black steel. Also these the iron drum, or the iron bucket here. Don't know why it's called drums, but since this was this mod pack was originally in Chinese, so the translation might have been awkward there. But we'll be getting into that stuff this episode. But before we get into that, a little bit about what I did before this episode, just to catch you guys up on what I've been up to. Since making some of the other items here, like the black steel, in order to get that, I needed to get some garnierite, because for black steel, we're gonna work out pig iron, which we know how to make. It's just iron into the blast furnace, but also weak steel ingot, which is made from steel, garnierite, and black bronze. So I've got together some black bronze, and I was stupid. I pulled the black bronze in, and I thought, what happens if I poured it back into the crucible here? Well, it turns out you can't really mix stuff like that in the crucible, because the crucible keeps track of what metals are in there. So when you're making that black bronze, it'll say, okay, here's a percentage of silver, gold, and copper. But if you start pouring black bronze in there, it becomes an unknown, because now there's a fourth ingredient in there that's the black bronze, and it doesn't recognize that as a valid recipe. So unfortunately, learned the hard way, wasted 5 ingots of black bronze there. But I still have 3, so we'll be using that to make the weak steel ingot along with the garnierite. Found a rich deposit over there, so that was pretty lucky. So that's what I gathered. I also gathered a lot more of wood. I collected a whole bunch of wood because we'll likely need that for future builds and just for crafting materials. But speaking of that wood, I also collected and I made some new steel tools to replace the iron and bronze ones that were breaking. The pickaxe here replaces the wrought iron pickaxe that broke already, and so did the steel axe. This hammer here is going to replace this when it inevitably breaks as we make future things. And I also figured out how to get my alt back. You see the milk bucket floating in the air right there. That shows my alt is back, and it's a little cheaty, but also that they're an alt, so I didn't use this to bring myself back or anything. I just brought my alt back because I was a little careless with bringing it into the world. So now we will finally be able to have those third-person shots, time lapses once again. So those were some of the things that I worked on off camera. But now it's time to make that RF engine, that Redstone Flux engine. So this steam engine, this is made from fire brick, which I have made here. Most of the materials ready here. Fire brick, we will need this copper ingot because we will need to make the copper gear here. Now it takes many kinds of gear, but this one is the cheapest one that I found that works. You just put a stone gear here and copper ingots along the side, just like this. And there you go. In here is the output of the crafting table. So this gets us the copper gear, which is the cheapest way to get it. Otherwise, some of the other recipes, you would need to have copper plates, and it's just not efficient. So this is the cheapest way to get it. This copper wire, we're going to need to heat up this here. And this is for something else, but we're going to need to heat up this, because this, once we get the first unfinished copper wire, this is made in the Anvil by taking a copper strip and hammering that out. So we need to heat this up and make copper strips. And copper strips are made from the copper plates. So again, I'll show you all that, but I'm gonna heat this up while I'm explaining how to do all of this. And the other part of this recipe is the piston. The piston is made from stone plates. bronze ingot here, right? Bronze, there you go. There's multiple metal types, but bronze is the cheapest one because I don't think you can use copper straight. And then there's just redstone dust, oak lumber. So let me grab that bronze. We're gonna need one of these. I believe I have it here. Oh no, it's already here. There we go. So we're gonna take this, put it in the center here, and actually we need to have the stone plates. So how the stone plates are made is that you take the bricks of any kind of stone here, and then you'll need to put them in a file like this, and you'll get stone plates. So there's 4 stone plates, which we will need. Put these on the side, 1 bronze, 1 redstone, and the lumber, any type across. Bam, we now have that piston. And the good thing about this crafting table, you saw how the bronze sort of just stayed there. It sort of acts as like a forestry work table, if you know what those are, but it's easier to craft things in bulk when there's tedious recipes. So it's nice to have that there. So now we're just waiting on this copper wire, which should be heating up, and I almost let it melt, which is kind of bad. But let's take these out so they don't melt yet. Actually, yeah, we'll weld these up and then make some sheets out of them. And once we have those sheets, we'll go back over here to this. These copper strips are made by a saw, sheet, and a hammer. So let's take this hammer out, and I believe the strip is fine here. Yeah, it's iron, so we should be fine. But let's take the saw, put it here, and bam, we now have some strips. So we'll need to heat these strips back up, since anytime you process them, they sort of lose their heat status. So heating those back up with this wrought iron strip. This is part of the rubber process, but we're gonna make grooves here, which means oh, forgot, we need this back here, and there we go. We have that groove. Keeping track of these. Now this groove will be useful for the rubber, which I will show a little bit afterwards. But for now, let's get this going. I don't think we need all of this here. Once this is hot, I'll then put these over and work on those to make the wires, and then I'll show you how that wire bending machine, this wire draw bench, works. And here we go. There we go. Now we have all of the unfinished copper wire. Now be careful. If you shrink this too much, go off this end too much, then you will, I believe, lose that item. So just be careful there. But now that we have this, what we do here is just place this in, and it doesn't have a GUI, just like most of the other machines that we have here. What we do here is just go Shift, right click, and you'll notice that it'll just pull at that until bam, there we go. Now we just pick that back up from this end. Now we have stage 2. These are all stage 1. So let's put another stage 1 in and finish this off. Bam, there we go. And now we will move on to stage 3, which means just putting that back in and working at this once again to get that final stage. I believe that's the final stage. Nope, there's one more stage. So stage 3, and then we go to the final stage. There we go. Now they're all stage 3. One more time. And there we go. Now we have 4 copper wires. So let's take that over here. And now we are finally ready to make this engine. So we have the wrench here. Let's place that in the middle. Piston down here. Fire bricks along the sides. And then copper wire. Gear up here. Now we have the engine, hobby steam engine. Awesome. So I'm not sure entirely how this works. I'll need to look into this, but now that we have this, we will be able to get some power and finally work with some machines. So that's the first big step we've got here. The next steps here, rubber, and I should probably check off this quest with the groove. All right, got that groove. So this is the process of getting rubber. What we'll need to do, as it sort of explains here, is that we will need to find the via saplings, which actually means that we're very lucky that we found them early on. Remember, like the first episode, how I was cursing my luck that we only found these, which were annoying saplings? Well, it turns out they're actually useful. So I've planted them down here. I've got 5 days to go before I can do anything. But once they're done, I need a hammer in my inventory on the hotbar. And with this groove, I can just right click it into the trunk and it'll stick in there. So then with that, then I can take the take the bowl mount here and stick that right onto where it is so that we can put the bowl in there. And then what we do is just use a knife, right click that, and latex will start flowing out. So then we can put that into our barrels here, these empty ones. We can put them in there, and once we have that in there, then we put the vulcanizing agent, which I made from just graphite dust, graphite powder, kaolinite powder, and sulfur powder. So put that together, put it in there, seal it up, and we get that rubber mix, which is just here. This vulcanizing agent with 100 millibuckets of latex, we get 6 rubber mix. And this rubber bar is just from smelting it down. I don't know if there is a TFC way or if we need an actual furnace or not, but we'll find a way to get there. Once that is there. Yeah, heat it in a fire or a forge, so we can put it in a forge. So that's how we get rubber, which will be useful later on. But for this bucket, we'll need 6 iron. So I got this bloomery working once again because this is not enough wrought iron. But this wrought iron, we can make these plates. Wrought iron is the cheapest of the irons to make any of the iron stuff here. So it's just 3 plates, and then this curved plates, once the right iron comes there, is just worked in the anvil. So that's 6 ingots of wrought iron to make this bucket. And with that bucket, we can then finally transport water and make infinite sources, because it actually is sort of renewable. But if you notice, I don't really want to waste that there. I kind of have to. But so if I take this source of water here and I try to place it anywhere, it just sort of disappears. So with these wooden buckets, you can't do anything. You need iron buckets, or TFC has red steel buckets. If I go back here, red and blue steel buckets, which can carry other things here. But these buckets, they're a bit more expensive, so I'll use wrought iron, which is a lot cheaper to do. So that's what I'll be using. It's the cheapest option to be able to carry around water sources. So that's what I'll be working towards to do, and then from there we can just start working on getting some of the black steel going. So I'll need to get some of the other steels working and getting more steel made. Then we can go into the coke ovens and go from there, see how far we can get. But for now, I'll get those things made. Alright, it's finally time to make some things. I probably should have checked the recipe before I went to gather all the resources, but I already needed to make some of the black steel anyways. Black steel, how I made that. Black steel is from pig iron, which we had, weak steel, and then weld them together, then work that out. So got a lot of black steel. Now, I thought we needed a black steel anvil, but if we look at the recipe, anvil here, if I click on it, there's actually no recipe for it. And when I usually in normal TerraFirmaCraft, you need the black steel before you go to red and blue steel. But in this case, it seems that we don't need to, because if I look at, let's say, blue steel here, and go to a blue steel ingot here and how it's made, notice that it says steel anvil or better, which means that it only needs a steel anvil to get there. So I didn't realize that, so kind of welded this together. I would need to put this back into something like a crucible to melt it down once again, and get back the ingots, which are then useful for welding together to make blue steel, etc., etc. So that's going to be something that we need. But in order to do any of the blue steel or black steel, I need zinc, and that's not something I found around here. So I would need to go searching. Probably next episode, I would like to go just venture out to see if I can find fruit, any other types of crops, and of course zinc, which is pretty important. But for now, I did manage to do some progress that we can take a look at, and that is the if we take a look here, let me grab the hammer. We can look at the bucket here, iron bucket, just like that. And I'll just put this back over here as well as that chisel. So we've got an iron bucket now, which means I can move water sources. Let me mark this off. There we go. And now we have this bucket. Now, I believe if I come over here and grab this, that's a water bucket now, and that has water in there. I don't know if this negates the turns the fresh water into something else, into normal water. If it does, that kind of sucks, because I would like to carry around fresh water and maybe build a source here. So let me check real quick. So it seems like I can't carry fresh water around. If I search up fresh water, yeah, looks like I will be needing the red steel bucket for fresh water. So that's unfortunate, but we at least do now have a water bucket. So I can now carry around a water source, which means in the rare case I need to MLG water, I will now be able to. So at least there's that. Unfortunately, can't make a source here for fresh water, because otherwise these barrels or these tanks here, I realized that they also just collect normal water, like this water, which will be useful later on, I believe, for Steam. But as of right now, for some of the other things, just TFC stuff, not that useful. So at least we got that done. And now we can actually take a look at that rubber. So let me grab some of the rubber things. So with rubber, you need Hevea trees, as I stated before. But in order to do this, you first need to have this groove and a hammer. And what you do is just you right click, let me do it in the middle aisle here. So right click onto the tree branch or the wood like this with the hammer, and bam, now it's in. Next thing you do is take a bowl mount, click that same place, and there's a place where you can put the bowl. And you need to make ceramic latex bowls, which that ceramic latex bowl, all that is just napping this clay latex bowl and then firing that up. But once you do that, all you have to do is place it here, and you take this this knife, right click on this, and there it starts pouring it in. So it'll take a little while to pour in, but the latex will start to pour in from the tree, and we can come back to it later on to collect this and then put it in our buckets to process. So that is how we deal with rubber. And I believe, I tested this a little bit, I believe you can reuse this. I'm not sure how many times you can put the bowl back in and collect latex but it seemed like it was pretty renewable. But if it's not, I have 4 trees there, so that should get us the rubber started for later on items later on. So we will get that checked off in a little bit once we actually have that. But something that I do want to take a look at before is the coke ovens. So this is Railcraft coke ovens. There's also a GregTech, the other mod here that has a lot of the industrial stuff. GregTech also has their own coke ovens. So it's something that we can take a look at. But coke, if I search up coke oven, yeah, GregTech has their own here, and that's just made from fire bricks. And the GregTech coke oven here, we need black steel, so we actually do need some black steel here. And it looks like even the plate, I'll keep that plate, I'll keep the double ingots because I'll need to work on that for making a plate. So it looks like it wasn't a waste after all. I'll be able to use it, but this will be just another coke oven to work with. I just want to build that as to check off this quest, but also to have something here. And one thing I did want to search up here, because I now have a full, let me take a look here. I now have a very full coke ovens here with a lot of creosote, and I want to remove the creosote here. So how do I do that? Well, to remove that and store it somewhere, I need to have a storage place. So this this tank here, this wood tank, is going to be something that's pretty good. But this does require a lot of sheets, and it looks like it needs steel. Yeah, steel to do so. Wrought iron. Okay, it can use wrought iron actually, so a little bit cheaper there. But each of these walls is 2 sheets of wrought iron, so I don't even know if I want to do that, but it does store a lot of liquid. And I do need charcoal at another point, but for now, I will keep that on my mind. It's a little bit expensive, and I did collect a good number of rich limonite. I found a deposit there, and there's still some there, so I can take a look at. But the time lapse, you probably will see that I went to a lot of different places, and unfortunately, all of these, like this one here and several of the other ones I went to, all had poor limonite. So I didn't really want to waste charcoal smelting up poor limonite. So found some rich limonite. But I believe that will likely have to be the end of this episode. Next episode, I really want to go searching for other ores and the other types of food. So probably an exploration episode with maybe some good time lapses there. But I'll call it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. If you are enjoying this episode, consider liking it. And if you think that this is an episode that's the series is something that's worth watching, and if you think the content I make is useful, entertaining, or overall good in your opinion, then it would mean a lot to me if you subscribed. Anyway, take care, stay humble, and I will see you all in the next episode. Bye-bye.